Hey, what's up, nerdies? Welcome to Something to Marvel About, a podcast where we discuss and dissect the week's MCU releases. My name's English Dave, and joining me because it's in their nature and they can't avoid it, my co-hosts Raven and Andrew. What's up?
What up, Dave? Yo.
We're here to talk Daredevil Born Again episode 4, Sick Semper Systems, which in regular vernacular, it means thus always to the tyrants. It means tyrannical leaders will inevitably be overthrown. This fourth episode, some people might say it's slower, but I thought it did a great job of highlighting themes of forgiveness, themes of accepting who you are, and themes of just flawed systems, right? And so I'll go to you, Andrew. With you first. This episode, spoiler free. What did you think?
I'm similar to you. I really enjoyed it. Almost suits like effect, which I talked about last episode. Like I like the legal part. I think like that's part of Daredevil's character. So this one definitely feels like a culmination of what's going to be the end of the civility. Let me put it like that, right? Because I feel like by the time we see violent, it's going to be violent, right? And it's both him and Fisk, their character evolutions. I feel like this episode really just brings it to a direction where I just know that we're literally gonna have a roller coaster kind of finale, right? And there's a character that we also see that they're basically laying all the breadcrumbs, right, or setting the table for the meal. And I'm perfectly fine with that because I'm almost like Matt. I feel like they're showing you that there's no other way but violence, right? I say that without dropping any spoilers, and that's why I'm perfectly fine with the pacing, right? It feels extremely intentional, and we're getting to see a different perspective to even Matt and his powers and just his interactions that I kind of like him with no Foggy. So all in all, I'm enjoying it. I think next episode, I mean, you can mark my words, probably will be higher octane than this, because this one kind of is like all right, hands are washed, let's go. So I'm enjoying it. I think it was a good episode, and yeah.
Raven, you too. This episode, like Andrew talks about, lays down the foundation for setting the scene of what's to come. There's almost a bit of the kettle is starting to boil, right? What did you think of the episode?
I love the episode. I think first of all, like we love an episode where actors are acting, right? So in terms of acting performances, I think that the storyline for this episode gave us a nice opportunity to really see, acting abilities pushed. I really enjoyed the episode overall. I felt like, especially you're in the middle of a season, you kind of have to have an episode to establish everybody's motivations before we continue on, And I feel like that's what this was. It's like, because before this point, even though there's been kind of good guys and bad guys, I felt like we still haven't exactly established the overall villain of the series and the season. Which is still kind of vague now, other than probably Fisk. But I did overall I like the episode a lot because I felt like this episode is giving us character motivations, and it's the episode that gives enough emotion and character to these characters to where when shit hits the fan later, we're gonna actually care,
Yeah,
um,
I don't understand
and it's
why.
gonna impact us that much more. So, and there's a lot of stuff that we kind of predicted or knew that was coming that we either got hints at or got confirmed in this episode, whether it be big, things. We still got a lot of things revealed in this episode. So I think as much as maybe everybody might not like it, I still think especially compared to a lot of Marvel shows we've gotten, in terms of an emotional journey, I think this is the most heartfelt I've kind of felt watching one of these so far,
You talk about this show, this episode specifically allowing actors to act. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because not only does it give us, like you said, the character motivations, it also gives us a moment to understand what the characters are feeling emotionally, right? There's a lot of cathartic moments that are happening in this episode, and even something as simple as the acting allows the actors to deliver lines that are ridiculous because it's a comic book universe,
Yeah.
but it still works.
Yeah.
Right?
Very
It doesn't
well.
seem it doesn't seem
For
like,
sure.
did you just talk about a magic amulet? Like what the hell?
Mystical amulet.
But
Fair.
it's still the acting and the writing is still done in the way where you can talk about these really nuanced conversations about social structures, but you can also talk about magical amulets, and it feels the same, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting those narratives in the same show. And I like what I love about the Daredevil narrative itself is that it does get into the politics of all this stuff, and it does get into the philosophy of all this stuff. It has
Yeah.
these kind of conversations where there is no gray area, and people are trying as they might to avoid being a certain type of person, but then the world
Yeah.
says no, and all this kind of complex natures that come together. I think this episode did a fantastic job of that. All right, let's go into spoilers. Andrew, I'm going to start with you. The episode opens up
Almost.
with a reminder of what happened last week.
Mhm.
It just, Hector Ayala, just his stuff, in a
Gone too
bag.
soon.
Just, almost kind of like, all right, move on next. Right, this happens all the time. Kind of next, no
Yeah.
one really cares until we see
Yeah.
his niece Angela Del Toro,
Yeah.
and through
Comes
her,
with
she
a
has
little
this
attitude.
conversation. I loved her moment with Matt.
Matt.
Like
Matt.
kind of reminding him, like, no one's going to help us. Nobody cares about this city. No one cares about us. What did you think of that moment, and what did you think it did to Matt in that moment?
Okay, I like also like quick maths. Like we all know it's the police, right? Like, sir, don't BS me. I liked her. I like her on-screen presence. I think she did it well. Because again, from what I know about the comics, either her or niece or family, the White Tiger mantle is going to pass on, and they keep showing it, right? They keep showing this amulet. So we know he was just a stepping stone, honestly. So I'm still a little. I wouldn't mind a little team up because I was a big fan of what is it? Arrow Girl, Hawkeye. His show, the Hawkeye show. I wouldn't mind a little Daredevil and White Tiger mentee action here. Little Last of Us. So I'm kind of I'm all for that. But yeah, I like that. I like how she just cut out the BS and she knows what it is. But that was was that the first incident, I guess, of Matt?
Yes.
So I feel like there were 3 or 4 where Matt is just being like smushed against the wall. Like, sir, peace is not the way for you. Maybe for others, but for you, please, just stop, all right? Like, put on one of your
She's like,
7
nobody
masks and
cares. Nobody
like,
cares
come
about
on.
us.
And
He's just Hector. He's just Hector from the Heights, and they're the fucking cops. I was like, oh shit, a child
Yeah, she
swore
said, "I hate cops."
but I
And
mean,
right, the F-bomb.
in a
just dropped
Marvel
the
Disney
F-bomb.
show. A
It's so
child.
funny because I continuously throughout
you're
like a
right.
lot
I
of these
actually
shows keep going, Disney?
yeah, you're
Disney,
completely
what
right.
is this?
That slipped my mind. Yeah, I forgot that this
Like,
used to
oh
not
my
be a
God,
thing. Wow, the
Disney.
world is
Right.
really healing.
I
This
do.
is crazy.
I will say with actors acting, I felt like her performance was great.
Great.
I felt
It
like she
tells
really
me that
killed
we're going to
it.
see more of her because you
Energy.
don't get that good of
Yeah, for
actress.
sure.
Right,
No,
you
for
don't
sure.
waste that good of an
Yeah.
actress, especially a young actress. I don't know how old she
Exactly.
actually is. I meant to
She's
look it
putting
up.
on
But,
that suit.
but I feel like especially a young actress like that, nah, she killed it. And on top of that, like I like that this episode is more because we spoke about it last week, how like BB on the street was kind of the what's going on, like the subconscious or the consciousness of New York, right? This is what's actually going on with the reality. I felt like this whole episode was just rooted in like, let's
Yeah.
tether it back to real people in the real world and show y'all what's going on outside of all this superhero stuff. This is what regular people are going through in their day to day. And I felt like, Angela, Hector's niece, really is that to some extent, in the world where you have vigilantes and superheroes and supervillains, everyday regular vigilante isn't that big of a deal. He's not somebody like Hawkeye or
Not Thor.
shoot, even somebody like not Thor. With Thor, I'm sure
Yeah,
they
he
would
ain't
have
a
thrown a
god.
parade, but he's just some guy
Exactly.
from the Heights. And I do like that this episode it deals with a lot more like what regular people deal with in this world of superheroes, because if even Hector's just some guy, what are regular people like when they die?
It's funny you say that, and actually, it's a great segue to the next question I'm going to ask you, Raven. one of the strengths of this episode is it has nothing to do with superheroes at all. I love the narrative with Leroy. You know, the guy that was
love Leroy Bradford.
putting
Leroy.
in jail for the fiddle faddle. And I like how it's set up, right? Because at the
Fiddle
beginning it's
faddle.
set up, you're like, this motherfucker ungrateful.
You
You know, like
ungrateful. I said I'm crying. I'm like,
you know,
what?
every time he's talking shit about Matt about being a blind lawyer, I'm like, damn, why are you bullying Matt? What's wrong with you? You know, that kind of stuff is like you get sucked into the whole thing of like, yeah, you should be
They know
happy
what
for
they did
getting
there.
10
They
days
know what they
out
did
of
there.
out of
I felt the
30.
same way too, but then I'm also like,
Sure.
yo, I would lose my mind in 10 days. I come out, I'd never be the same.
Well, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask you in
You
terms
put me
of,
in
you
jail
know,
for 10 days after that.
when he finally, I mean, this is someone that again, the way it's presented to us is kind of how it would be presented to in the real world, right? Where it's like, look at his
Yeah.
rap sheet. He's done all this kind of stuff. He missed his last thing.
Exactly.
Every time you give him a chance, he it up. But then when you hear
The
his side of
nuance.
the story and the nuance of it, you realize that he's
The
trying with a
police
system
eating
that's
the snack that he
right,
stole.
and it's just like over fiddle faddle. Like you're willing to put me in jail that costs more to put me in jail
Yeah.
than it would to
Yeah.
feed me.
Yeah.
I was
You
going
know,
to say that
Right.
my favorite quote of that episode, yeah, he literally said that they're willing to spend 5 times more to lock me up than to feed me.
so that's the question
Like
I'll ask you. What did you think of
what?
that story, Raven? And how do you think? And how do you
That
think that
whole little
relates
moment
to?
was bars.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How do you think it relates to kind of Matt? You know, right now for a year or so, he's kind of taken away from the Daredevil persona and is trying to focus on the lawyer persona, and he's trying to kind of focus on using the path of justice, right? Trying to do the right thing and
Mm.
the path of justice. So seeing this side to Matt, and it makes it funny because we were kind of laughing at or berating Leroy for calling him blind, but does he mean Matt's blind metaphorically to what's happening?
I think it's a mix of both. I think he's saying like, you can't see shit, and means that in many different ways. I think beyond him being blind, I think he's also saying you're blind to things because of, the position you're in, where you're from, a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of
You're a white
factors.
man.
1000%. Even blind, a disabled white man, unfortunately, still has more benefits than a fully seeing black man, and that's the truth. So I did feel like this episode, I like that they didn't sugarcoat it. This is an actual problem that we see every day. This is something that Matt and any lawyers for that matter are gonna have to encounter. His reasoning for getting the caramel popcorn is because, he's like, I eat crap food all the time. I eat food that comes out of trash cans and leftovers and all this other stuff. He wants something sweet for the first time. He wants something that tastes good. He never gets to have dessert, and I can understand that. Sometimes we really just fiending a specific kind of snack, and I can't imagine not being able to just afford to get myself that, slight relief in that time. Imagine
Especially when eating trash
wanting
food,
something
like literally.
sweet.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right. And imagine wanting something sweet for days, weeks, when you have a craving, like if you have a craving for a couple of days, it drives you insane. I can't imagine, being unhoused and going long amount of times and just never having the food I want is,
And the
that's
slap on the
something to a
face,
person.
the police are eating it in
Yeah,
front of him.
literally eating it.
Literally eating
next
it
to
and not
you.
even offering him
It
any.
was. I think
That
that
you could be, like,
worst
are the
case,
police
like
gonna arrest
have a
themselves?
bite.
No.
Yeah, enjoy this in the jail.
Yeah.
You're arresting
Like you
me for
said,
for stealing this thing that you're eating right
how
now.
come they don't arrest themselves for stealing?
Right.
Seriously though, because it's messed up. But I do love that, that whole thing, because to some extent too, even me, I feel like there is a certain extent of, being a lawyer that's kind of icky, only because a lot of it sadly does come down to ego, whether somebody's right, wrong, good or bad. It's like when the job is over, whether you got them on
Yeah.
or off the case, yeah, it might sit with you, yeah, it might haunt you after, but it's the other person that has to sit and rot in jail. You know what I'm saying? Or it's the other person that has to do the actual time. So yeah, you might have fought your best. And yeah, this might be the best case you've ever fought. And yeah, you might have won. But if somebody still has to do 10 to 15 years in a case that they won.
One of the storylines, one of the great things about this show, this narrative is that both Matt and Wilson kind of have parallel storylines, right? As Matt is falling into despair, Fisk is almost rising in power. And so we're seeing that rise in power, but at the same time, he has to deal with the fact that he has to, as much as his rise to power is built within, he's someone that's a disruptor. He changes the rules. He's against the system. He still has to deal with the rules, Right. This episode reminds him that there's still rules and structures and how we do things, and you can't just do it whatever you want. How do you think that was depicted in this episode, and him kind of realizing that, like Matt, as much as you're trying to carry yourself a certain way, your true nature will come out.
You're all right. Like there's still a system, and just his so he feels like he wants to be an emperor, right? Like that's who Kingpin or Fisk sees himself as. And I mean, I guess if we're talking about him, I just have to jump to the end of the episode because
No, that's all included. That's all included.
like his dinner music is the screams of his wife's boy toy. Like he's evil to the core, and I feel like because there are moments when even I was like, is he really trying to be a quote unquote better person? Is he trying to because it happened, forget your past, you can turn over, but no, he isn't per se, and I feel like the shackles of the office are going to continue to force him to be crazy. Like when they walked into the Latvian heritage thing. And he just started screaming, and he was like, "Wait, where am I?" It was just so funny because like he's like his anger is seeping out, and then he was like, "Why do I even care about Latvian heritage?" And it's the fact that like you're not a politician. Like this was never a position that I was gonna see you being happy doing for a long time, right? But seeing him kind of be forced into the cage of I guess politics and bureaucracy, right? Is just
We
what's
built
funny.
this city.
Oh my gosh, the song.
I was dying. And then again with the Latvian people.
Yo, when the
Yeah.
Latvian people did their version, I was in tears.
He
I
was
was like,
But
no.
they're doing
Oh
it
my
with such
goodness.
gusto where
And
you
they're
can
so
imagine
passionate about
you can
it.
imagine they had a conversation earlier with like he's going to love
He's gonna love
this.
you, I love
Yeah.
you.
know it.
Make sure you sing
And they
it
had the
with their
kids
hearts.
too. Come on, kids. We're gonna sing this for the
Oh
mayor.
my gosh! And he was like,
It was
shoot,
so
shoot,
bad.
shoot me now. So
Yes, that
yeah.
was
If anything, the only good for him is that him and Vanessa seem to be
No, that's
inching
fine.
closer slightly. Who knows what that will end up in, because different themes are brought up with her and her safety. But
Right.
yeah, he's being pushed against the wall and into a cage, but he's seeping out. He's going to implode very shortly.
No, I find it. We'll come back to the Vanessa stuff, but I also find it interesting again with Wilson because again, just like and we'll go back to that later. The scene with Matt and Frank, right? In terms of trying to not accept who you are. On the top side, in front of everyone, Wilson is like kept calm. He's slimmed down.
Yeah.
He's eating healthier. But when he goes in this underground dungeon, he's not eating so healthy.
No, it's not. And listening to
Exactly.
Oh,
screaming
he's
of the
eating
man.
healthy, just not in a healthy environment. I wouldn't say it's very conducive to his mental condition.
And Raven, I want to come to you with this one, right? He when he finds out that it was Daniel who was being stupid and leaked
great
certain
son.
things, right? He was ready to kind of go crazy, but then Daniel kind of shows him like loyalty, and that changes everything. What does that tell you about these kind of dynamics of these kind of people where they value certain types of loyalty over like wisdom? As his actual counselor woman that's there trying to tell him stuff, and she's like, "Hey, we can't do it this way," and Percy's like, "Shut up."
He's like, black woman,
What do you think of that
please.
dynamic?
Well, I mean, people like that want unchecked power. You don't want somebody that's going to keep you in check and somebody that's going to tell you regulations and all that. If you have somebody that's just going to gas you up and tell you everything you're doing is amazing, and just make things happen for you, if you have somebody, it's easier to have people around that will gas you up and lie to you when you need than it is to have people that hold you accountable, And we all know people like that aren't even famous, where you'll be like, why do you hang out with these people? But you realize all these people are a bunch of yes men, and
Exactly.
the person prefers and values people just telling them whatever they want to hear compared to people like us who are just going to tell it like it is. Right. So I love that scene in general though, because it wasn't predictable in any way. Like I thought Daniel was gonna rat out Sheila just because how it played out. Usually in that exact kind of scenario where somebody's all, oh, I'm your boss. I've been around before you, and I'm still gonna be
You
here
know,
after you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was in my head. I was like, damn it, Sheila. He definitely gonna, throw you under the bus now. He gonna
uh,
blackmail you and say it was your fault. And that's just how I thought it was gonna play out. Like Daniel is gonna find a way to stay on Kingpin's good graces, but while getting rid of Sheila as opposition. So I kind of like that instead of Daniel maybe trying to put the blame on someone else or, trying to like find a quick, like sleazy way to still stay by Kingpin's side. I like that he was just honest and he
it
was,
was like
and it was his
Akon.
truth.
He's
We saw
actually a
right.
genuine
Shame on
character.
me.
Yeah, which I actually appreciate now. I thought he was
Mhm.
gonna be more of like a weasel.
Same.
But again, sadly, fucking shit, it's true with this
He's just
administration
ignorant.
too now,
Yeah.
where we're slowly starting to realize there's some people who naive, who might have followed what is it, naively? Naively. Naively is
The
a
first,
word?
not the
That
first
doesn't
one.
sound right. Naively. Ugh. Anyway,
Sounds good.
may have just followed blindly. I'll say blindly because it's Daredevil. Anyway,
Hey.
right. We know people that have followed blindly, thought that, or really truly believed in a politician. They said all the right things that they needed to hear and then realized, slowly but surely the
Oh,
intentions
shit.
weren't what they thought. So I think you see that with Daniel, where he sees the good in Fisk and genuinely thinks he's good for the people.
Yeah.
So Daniel is, pledging his loyalty, but he's pledging his loyalty to the Fisk that he thinks he knows.
Even from
I think
afar.
it's
He's like, I
gonna
don't
get
care. From afar. I'll do
right,
it.
even from afar. And I'm like, okay, Daniel, you say that now. Being loyal to Fisk comes with a lot, buddy.
Mhm.
And
You
you're still
could be
gonna
cannon
die just
fodder.
later. The thing is, you're still gonna die just
Yeah.
later. It's
And
just
even when
delayed.
Fisk kind of warns him, like if you do that again.
That'll be your last.
And even like
That'll
And
be the
this,
last
cut
thing you
to
ever
Sheila.
do.
Sheila's like,
Sheila's like,
okay.
this boy's in trouble.
Sheila's scared for her life, and Sheila in between,
and-
like, Daniel, take the dude.
But
Shut
even
the
me,
Shut
I
the
was
fuck
like,
up.
Daniel, go and watch Penguin. Daniel.
That's what I was about to say. Daniel, you
Daniel,
haven't seen what happened to Vic?
Daniel, be careful.
How about you go on down to Gotham and see what happened to Vic?
Daniel, you played all your cards. All your cards, man. It's okay. Good luck.
Daniel, your type always meets their demise in the end of the series.
Do you
Watch
think?
your
Do
back,
you think?
bro.
Do you think he's just
And-
gonna try and get BB back?
Oh my gosh, you just took the thought from my brain. I was like,
I
by the way,
think
if
Fisk
Daniel
is gonna
catches
try to get
BB,
BB back.
I
think
feel
Fisk is
like
gonna try to
Fisk,
get
yeah,
BB.
but I feel like Daniel right now is just like, okay, I need to now
I think
transfer that
Daniel's
whole
gonna
emotional experience to someone. Backed
I
by
think it'll be
Fisk, right?
Fisk that makes Daniel handle the BB
Yeah,
situation.
but like he's
which is gonna
personally
turn
affronted,
Daniel
man.
bad.
Yeah. Though I
Mm.
don't think it's gonna turn out bad for BB. I think
No,
think
I don't
BB's
think
smarter
so.
than.
I think it's
than
gonna be
that.
bad for Daniel.
Yeah,
Daniel's
exactly.
gonna get
It might be where
Exactly.
Daredevil. That may be where Daredevil comes in and interjects. You just call it now. I see a little saving happening there. So
Right. What I like about
That's the only difference.
what I like about Daniel's character, what he represents as well, it's like we said, there is an earnest nature to him, right? He believes he's doing the right thing. He's not like villainous or evil.
yet.
But what I like about it, it highlights the ignorance that when you look at things only from such a narrow point of view, right? Because you think, I want to fix this. Why can't it get fixed? Because it's like, well, because there's more than what you want that is at stake.
Exactly.
Everybody
Maybe
wants
happy,
something.
but don't know
Everybody
the
has
back end.
wants. Yeah.
Daniel's brand new. He doesn't know anything about
Exactly.
processes at all. Like she said, processes. Like
To do this, you have
he
to get
doesn't know
approved from this.
anything
To do
about
that,
it.
you get approved from that.
It was like,
you know,
that's the first step.
just Daniel's
Let's
like,
do
yeah,
that.
this green piece, whatever's just gonna work out. It's
Right.
just,
And it's like,
this,
well, you
this
got
says
to
it'll get it
prove.
done. It's gonna get done. That's it.
But you can't just say this would be good for the people. How? Explain. Why would spending all this
Right.
money in this place? How would it be good for everybody?
And it's sad because every time Sheila opens her mouth, I'm like, stay safe, Sheila.
Right? Like, I mean,
I hope you got on a bulletproof
I
vest,
trust her to
Sheila.
get
Does
out.
someone know where you are at all times?
Though I feel like, regardless of what happens to her, I can't tell you that, but I think she's smarter, and in the sense of that, when she found out what Daniel did, she's like, "Shut up, wouldn't handle this." She kind of knew, let's kind of handle it this way, as opposed to kind of
like she
freaking
said,
out.
I was
tried,
here. I was
but
here
also
before you.
Daniel
I'll be here after you.
saved her neck. Because we only, I can only imagine what type of trouble Sheila also would have been in. Because she also
Yeah,
took responsibility for Daniel. She said, he's mine,
Though I feel like
whatever.
I feel like
But
she's
I was like,
over these guys, because it's like,
Oh,
Every
1000%.
time he's just
She
like,
don't want to work for them.
Yeah.
what have I got myself
Like
into?
she said, I was doing this
Yeah.
job before y'all got here and will still be doing
I'll
this
be
job
here
after
long
y'all leave.
after.
Like,
And I think
honestly, y'all just somebody else to me.
Also,
And I
I
think
hope
it's
so.
less, but I think it's
Right.
less. She's less concerned about the fact that Fisk's history. I'm sure she's aware. It's just more that it's just like I have to deal with these idiots who don't know the paperwork.
1000%
Yeah,
underqualified
like
people in
I feel like
office.
you're right. It would be different if there was like another version of her that Fisk
Yeah.
liked, who at least
Yeah.
understood how things were. Like this idiot boy doesn't know anything. It's not his fault. He's just green. He's green thumbed, right? Like, come on, Fisk.
Right.
Come on.
Right, he has no idea. He's like, this guy's giving me solutions.
Like,
Then you don't know shit, man.
Andrew, I want to come to you about Fisk and Vanessa, right? We're seeing the build-up of that
Vanessa.
relationship. You know, things are slightly moving forward, kind of, sort of.
Forward to the side.
She admitted that no matter what happens, she doesn't feel unsafe in front of him, regardless of what happens between them. She does feel safe.
Yeah.
Though I did like
Right?
the moment where when Heather asked, "Oh, so where is Adam?" And then Vanessa's like,
I don't know.
yes.
And they both
Where
at the
is
same
he?
time, I don't know, but different I don't knows. Very different
Yeah.
tones.
So
I don't
Andrew,
know. She's like, I don't know.
Andrew, I want to ask you, do you think there's healing for this couple, and where do you think Vanessa goes next narratively? Like, where's her trajectory headed?
The reason there can be healing is, like her Vanessa's reaction to the lady.
Wait, let me pause you for a second.
Oh,
Sorry, let me pause a second. Do you think there can be healing after she was like, "Oh, his hands, so great."
so I was.
I was like,
feel,
are you trying to guarantee your boy Adam is dead in a box in a river somewhere?
No, but that was
Y'all
that
done
was
dumping him in the
literally
Hudson for that
100
comment. Now he's getting dumped tonight.
even
They're
if
moving
I
up the
wasn't pissed
timeline.
before,
Your boy's
right?
dead.
Especially knowing how insecure Fisk is about just his appearance and in general his demeanor around women, I guess. So yeah, I feel like that was just
And Fisk can't paint.
And I am sure that hurts him.
Artworks he created with his hands, like.
And thing is, right?
You dragging it. I was thinking too at home, like you dragging it.
She wasn't even just talking about painting. You know that too, right?
Oh, definitely not.
This was not.
She said his hands.
He knows how to use a brush.
She even did that thing where she put her hand to her chest, going into the memory.
Yeah, like don't put your hand on your chest and stare out into the distance, Vanessa. How you trying to get this boy
come
killed?
on, man.
Adam, some poor little hipster somewhere trying to live his life. He ain't know whose wife you were.
Right. But I mean, fair enough. To be fair, I would be surprised if he's able to keep the fact that he's locked up Adam a secret. If he had killed him, I believe maybe he could have kept the secret. Whenever you keep a live kidnapping, people listening
without a
out
muzzle,
there,
mind you.
without a muzzle,
open cage
in some underground, CW type arrow basement layer. We're basically seeing Fisk and Matt kind of, spiraling right there. Things are not able to be controlled when you're not operating on your path. So things are just happening that are just out of whack, and it's because they both just need to they need to swap. They just both need to swap.
Well, also again, like I said, they're trying to pretend who they're not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to pretend. We'll get back to that with Matt. But what do you think? Like you said, if Vanessa will find out eventually. But what do you think she does when she finds out? Does she expose Fisk? Does she take over the Empire? Does she try to? What does she try? Just try to kill him? What do you think she tries to do?
I wouldn't try to kill Fisk. It has not gone well for others.
About her. Yeah, the scary thing about her is that women are even more creative than men when they have a vendetta. I think that.
And she's liking this villain life, though.
Not just liking. It seems like, first of all, embracing her skin's looking good. Fisk even says, "Girl, you were fine before, but now, oh my God." And
in fact, she's telling him you're not going far enough. Like, why are we trying to be good?
Right. She's smarter than him. So.
It was so good. She's like, "Oh, honey, you thought I was in trouble? Oh my dear, no. Like I run the streets now. So
yeah, I was a little scared. I'm scared for Heather.
Yes, of course.
Heather is getting fridged, bro. She's 1000% getting fridged. Before this season is over, Heather is either going to be kidnapped and held for leverage, or
Ransom.
she just gonna die, or both, or
Yeah.
both.
A little
'Cause I can't
mix.
see how they ain't making it to
I
season
say
2.
I say a mix. No.
Not with all the questions she's asking, and you told Fisk to forgive Adam. You lost your mind, Heather.
Yeah,
You know who
and
Adam
you
is?
also you exactly you know what I mean, and you've seen Fisk and Vanessa have that conversation just there like that. You now even ask my wife, is she okay?
And you
Don't
give a
worry, don't
platform
worry,
for
you're not okay.
Vanessa to
Enough
gas
for you
up
to have to
her.
ask Vanessa, are
Yeah,
you okay? The fact
are
that you
you
know
okay?
that. Are
I like,
And
you
the worst
okay?
thing about it too,
and you know
Fisk
he
said, "I
acknowledged it.
figured." I'm like,
Yeah, he was like, oh, yeah,
I'm like,
very
that's not
like
good.
very prudent psychiatrist or whatever. Like, like I got you, girl. I see you. Remove you from the
Got
chessboard.
your number.
Asking stupid questions.
Speaking
Like,
of going to your base nature and trying to hide from it, one of the best scenes in this episode, Raven, I want to come to you, between Frank and Matt, right? Matt goes to
actors
Frank,
acting.
right? I love the
I
setup.
love John Barenthal. Like,
So good.
he's so good. He's such an amazing
And I think
Punisher.
this isn't how we expected to be introduced to Punisher in this series, but I
Yeah.
thought it was perfect.
A
Because
little not so fun fact. John Barenthal actually didn't want to come back originally for the role of Punisher because he didn't like where the Punisher story was going in the series. Like, so initially he had a bunch of restraint coming in.
I think that was also before they restructured the show, because the show was very different before, and then they restructured. It wasn't. I don't think it was supposed to be a direct continuation of the Netflix. It was supposed to be like a new thing with the same characters, more like parallel universe.
Yeah.
And then
that's why.
after the strikes and stuff, they kind of like retooled it and like, no, let's go all the way. And
That's why.
And he's getting his own TV movie special, Punisher special.
Better be.
Yeah, they get.
I was just gonna be
I
like
had no idea.
for streaming
like a TV movie. Yeah. Kind of like how they did the
fire.
the
I
Werewolf
prefer
by Night.
that. I hate having to go week to week, bro.
Yeah,
Driving me
yeah.
nuts. Let me watch all that shit right
Wait, they're
now.
breaking the fourth wall. We're getting new TV movies. Okay.
Yeah, you know how they did the Werewolf by Night special,
Yeah.
the black and white one. Yeah, it's like that.
Okay.
They're doing more of those where it's just a straight up TV movie. We'll continue.
Multiverse is
But yeah, I
cooking.
want to ask you about him.
Okay, yeah. So
I want to ask you about him, Raven, in terms of Matt goes over to him. By the way, I love how Matt finds the bullet casings, right? In terms of like just using his deductive powers and rolling down the hill. You understand the thing, roll down the hill, and him listening to it. But he comes to Frank to be like, yo, you seeing what this police are doing with your symbol? Huh? You should do something about it. And I liked that Frank was like, you're coming to me because you want to do something about it. You're asking me for permission, aren't you? What did you think, Raven, of that whole interaction of Frank calling him out and saying, basically letting us know, reminding us that Matt hasn't dealt with Foggy's death? Say his name! Say his name!
So,
What do you think?
Well, we brought it up last episode, I think, where we talked about the fact that Matt seems fine. And that might be a little weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
'cause you shouldn't
Matt
seem
is
fine.
seemingly okay.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he won the case, all these things are working out, but like, does that feel good? Your friend's still dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if the person is rotting in jail, like, how good do you feel about your friend still not being there to celebrate with you?
He got life, but it's Foggy.
So I did love that whole thing. I mean, first of all, I also love their bromance. I love that.
Yes, Red.
Like, it reminded me of like in Daredevil and in Deadpool versus Wolverine, how all the fight scenes were kind of intimate. And it was kind of like almost like sex scenes in ways. Like, I felt the same way with this, where it was like, when Daredevil, gave him kind of that punch back or that fight back. He was like, yeah.
I apologize.
And he's like, I'm sorry. He's like,
sorry.
why are you saying sorry?
Do it again, bad boy.
I'm like, he loves that shit. Look at him.
Sorry.
Say it again. Say it again.
Do it again.
Do it again.
But yeah, like I love that this is their dynamic, Yeah, you feel that, Red?
Yeah, I love that he calls him Red.
Yeah, I love that he calls him Red, and I also absolutely love what they're doing with Punisher's storyline in the sense of he is a veteran that needs help. You know what I'm saying? Like, this has happened to so many veterans that don't go to the extremes maybe of what Punisher's doing, but it happens to veterans every day where they come home,
I hear my boy's
they
voice.
deal with all these things. Yeah, their healthcare,
Daddy.
they get.
Yeah, I
isn't
was
good
like,
enough,
no, he's
for their
not.
mental
That's not your
issues.
boy.
Because he said, "Yeah, Daddy, get him." I'm like, "You're
Stop,
sick in the head. Your
sir,
son's not saying
sir,
that."
Right.
I
sir,
1000% guarantee if your son was
please,
alive, that's not what he would be saying. And he's
sir.
not saying get every last one of them for sure. For sure. He's a little
Oh my
off. He's a little
goodness.
off. This is my friend.
Which is great because, like you said just now, Raven, in
Don't move
terms
too fast around him. No
Then
flying
just
objects, and he'll be all right.
but I think that's what's great about the writing and the delivery, the acting,
yeah,
in the sense of that. At the same time, you're like, Frank, you're kind of being ridiculous. He's still hitting words of wisdom to Matt. So it's like they
He
both
is.
both are true.
of course,
It's just
yeah,
he's
for
one of those
sure.
friends that like you go to for advice, but you take like what is it? It's like a grain of salt, whatever. Like you're like, okay, you said all these things. There was some knowledge in there. I'm gonna take this little bit, and that crazy shit. You keep that, but
You
this
toss
is a
that,
little
yeah.
gem right here.
This is great.
This is
This
nice.
is
You gotta
great.
sift through all the
Can't
dirt and
find
the
this
bullshit.
anywhere
but
else.
There's a
Yeah,
gem in there.
yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. I love their dynamic. I love their back and forth because again, they're two sides of the same coin. Punisher and Daredevil have similar motivations. It's just the way that they go about it is different. The same way, like Magneto and Professor X did.
Charles.
It was also because their background, right? One's a soldier and one grew up in the legal system, and
Right, exactly.
And then Matt with
Blind.
the whole Catholicism as well. He's like
Yeah.
he feels that Catholic guilt, right? They
Because
call
like
it.
you say, see what I got. Like he's like, I did my time. I did serve, and look at me, and this is the truth. There's a lot of the people you see in New York that are homeless and living on the streets were veterans once, and it's devastating that a lot of the people that have to live underground, that live around paranoid, who are literally just mentally ill and kind of sick in the head because of what they've been through, can't get the help that they need. So they end up like this, a refuge, underground.
Jaded.
Hermit. Yeah, jaded, dark view of the world. But I also want to know, like, what you got going on? Because he said, because he did his clap. I don't have time for you pansy ass hero shit
I was looking at all these things on the wall, like, what's this planning?
Right. I'm like, what is he planning right now? What the fuck is he tracking?
Well, which is I want to ask you,
because he
Andrew.
claims he doesn't have time. So
Well, that's the
what
thing.
you doing with your time?
Which is the question I want to ask you, Andrew, right? Going into this episode, we were all ready to be like, he's going to be pissed that the police are using his symbol, blah, blah.
Yep.
He
does not
brushes it
care.
off like fanboys.
He's like,
Oh,
that's
for
their
sure.
problem, fanboys. Like, he doesn't agree with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you think brings him into the fold, Andrew?
And I feel like, sorry,
what's
like
gonna be the
after seeing
thing
his
there?
reaction, seeing his reaction, it makes sense because he's like, I don't care about my brand. I was never doing this for the brand. Like, a copycat, right? But
right. Like,
yeah,
meanwhile, Matt is like, yo, trademark lawsuit. They're using your logo, bro. We could really take them down for this. Frank's
it's
like, bro, I don't
definitely
give a
that.
fuck.
His storyline is really interesting because it's very real, because there are a lot
Mhm.
of police in America who take on the Punisher's
real life.
mantle, but completely misuse what the point is,
Yeah.
right, of what he does. So
He's fighting corruption.
So I'm curious, what brings him into it? Do you think it's going to be a direct action by one of the police where something happens, or does he put himself in it? Like, how do you think, like, or whatever he's working on now, does it cross over? Maybe he's working on a case that crosses over.
Yeah,
Both of you, where do you think he crosses it into the story?
I feel like I see a crossover, and I feel like I see him somehow by the end of this season, gunning down a mass group of copycats / people who are doing bad shit. And, he tells you, you thought I wasn't working? Like, I was working just, at my own pace. Because there's definitely dirty cops. We all know that. But he's just, he's such a mystery because, again, somebody who is telling you that I'm doing this because my dead son saying kill them all. Not really sure which
Like
direction.
at this
Kid like
point,
6.
but also at this point, who's all?
No, like, what is
who's
the
the all?
extent of
Right,
all?
because I've seen the last
Oh, the
season you're
gang?
in, and there's
Yes.
about 100, 200 people dead. How
Right.
many
I'm
are
pretty sure
left?
it's
Are we
not the
near the
killers of your
all?
family.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
At this
some.
point, they were a whole generation ago. They gotta be dead. Like they've been buried.
Like, people, no one knows why you're killing them now. They're like, kill
Like,
my
when you're
family.
coming
What?
out,
Not-
I don't
not
even know
even
you,
you.
son.
sister.
Not even.
I don't know you.
Sir,
What
this
you
is
been
a
up to, bro?
Wendy's.
Right. To some
Oh.
extent, it's like it makes sense though. Like the whole like, bro, what are you doing down here? Wasting your talents. Because it's true. It's like, even if you do just love killing, we could use you on the ground.
Right.
You
Yeah.
you got all this artillery, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing anything, then why you got all these guns? Just
Right,
put a
right.
TV up and chill.
But-
And they look
But I
clean.
hear-
I know they probably cleaned them recently.
Yeah, and
sure.
he's training though, because the only things in his room is a punching bag, a bench press,
Yeah.
and weapons, and like a radio. So obviously you're still training. So what are you training
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
if you're
Yeah.
not out fighting?
I
A part of me feels like he's still doing some type of
Of
vigilanteism.
course.
I'm curious if he's gonna run, if the way that he gets involved is because he actually does have this, he obviously cares about Matt / Daredevil. He's one of the few people that do know his
He would have killed him if he didn't.
right, he
Yeah.
knows his aliases, and I was scared for him. I thought he was one. I was like, look, Matt,
Yo, I
you
thought
blind,
man,
but that
that's
don't mean, you know what I'm saying? Somebody's watching you
You
walk
don't
into
just
their
walk
space
into a lion's
uninvited.
den just like that.
And just start tapping around.
and I'll slap it.
I'm very like, I'm interested, like, well, what did you do in Punisher? But I feel like if he gets involved at all, it'll be because Matt's in danger. I think it'll be a
He needs
Matt
support. The police
or
are coming after him.
Daredevil, right, being in the wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing, and maybe being, what do you call it? Maybe underestimating a situation.
Yeah. And
So I think that's how we might see him.
I was gonna say, I feel like Punisher is, at least for me here, he's one of those like, look, man, it's quality not quantity. Like, I'm not here for body cop. Like, I'll give you one bazooka moment.
One and done.
Whenever you want to cash this check, keep it.
Call me when it's like the main
Get out of
honcho.
jail. Yeah, like you're
He's
about
like
to
a
die,
coin at
bleeding out.
yeah,
In
like
the
John Wick
underworld, like
coin.
exactly John Wick. This will get you out of jail at any time.
A situation where I need to
scorching
shoot
the
at
earth.
least. He's like, I don't come for 1 bullet situations. I need to be using 300 bullets.
At
Minimum.
least.
Minimum.
At
If it's a
least.
1 bullet situation, nah, I'm good.
I need to
If it's
clear at
even
least
50,
2
100,
automatic
I'm still
weapons,
upset.
or I'm not showing up.
Right.
And maybe throw one
Thanks,
grenade.
like,
If it
it's
doesn't
like-
call for 1 grenade and 2 rounds of automatic weapon clips, then I don't need it.
Like, I'm not Superman, please. All that dressing up and then
Leave me alone. I'm
undressing.
polishing my guns.
Yeah, even
Nah,
that is
nah,
like,
nah.
even the fact that he just makes fun of him, like you were dressing up in costumes and bullshit. Like he doesn't care.
Mhm.
about all
But
Like,
it's
that
also
stuff.
weird, like, bro, you were kind of in a costume. But then I look back and I'm like, no, not really. He
It
was
was
in a
more
fully
gear.
functional tactical
Yeah.
suit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
He just painted the little vest.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
and
like,
even that, he's
it's like
probably not. It
fine,
seems like
I'll
he's
be
not doing that
creative.
anymore.
I'll put a skull, choco.
Yeah, and I don't even think
Yeah.
he's painting the logo anymore. He's like, F it, I'm just gonna go murder somebody. I'm not gonna
Right.
stop and spray paint.
Right.
I'm just gonna go out and kill.
Right.
The uniform.
Speaking of, actually, great segue. Spray paint. We're introduced and teased to a villain. You know, all those murals you've been seeing in the last few episodes on the walls of New York. We're finding out who's been doing that. The character is called Muse in the comics.
So I don't know anything about Muse. The only thing for me that I loved was kind of the, I want to say maybe comparison to, Punisher being underground and similar lives, similar lifestyles. Like it's kind of mirroring different coins. So I'm wondering maybe if that's the tie-in. Like, is that, is Punisher connected to him in any way? Because their stories look kind of similar.
I could see that.
And
But
what's Muse
also-
doing? That's the question.
Right, but I also didn't put it together that he's painting with blood until right now, which is wild.
Siphoning the
man,
blood
blood.
again. Okay.
Like I saw him taking all that blood out, and I thought to myself, "This is a lot of blood." I didn't think nothing of it other than, he's probably that's gonna get infected. 'cause it
And
didn't
in the
look like
comics, he
What
works
do you
with
think of
blood.
his mask, his look and his mask?
Scarecrow
scary,
mask.
scary. I wake up to that, I'm peeing myself and going back to bed. I'm not- If I wake up to that, I'm on a stretcher. I'm going back out and be like, you know what? Just wake me up when it's
I'm
over.
out.
That's terrifying. I'm good, bro. Yeah, I'm very interested where that's gonna go, and I'm interested if it's specific blood he's going for. Like, is there a target audience, or is he just snatching randos off the street? Like, is this person
It's like positive.
enhanced in any way?
Yeah.
That's
what's your
being
blood
held
group?
because what makes him so lucky? You know what I'm saying? What makes him so lucky to be in this random operating room in the subways? And it's also crazy.
like,
nobody saw him walking around with his body tossed over his shoulders.
New
But
York,
hey, it's
right?
New York.
It's New York. Yeah, even if people did see it, it's
We
New
didn't
York.
think nothing of it. My friend's drunk. All right, yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm interested to see what his motivations are, because he's the one that put the Punisher logo that says "triggered" to the police. He's the one that
Right.
the Fisk posted drawings. So it's not like he has a side.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is his side? Because is he
And like, who's he
is he
fighting
critical
for?
of the police? Is he critical of Fisk?
Yeah.
It seems like he is, but at the same time, he's still killing seemingly innocent random people, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, and we talked about Heather not surviving. Could he be the reason? Because again, he's the one that walked up to Heather creepily and was like, "Can you help me? I need help," and she gave him
Yeah.
her details, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see where that storyline goes. It could be, and I don't have anything to base on, it could be he falls for her, sees that she's with Matt, and he's like, I gotta kill this guy, not realizing that he f***ed with the wrong guy.
Heather's getting leverage, Joe. I'm telling you, before this
One
season
way
ends,
or
Heather
another.
is somebody's leverage. She's getting leveraged by somebody. Somebody's snatching
100.
Heather up and be like, "Come outside, Daredevil."
Raven, I have a question for you.
I also didn't know him and Heather got that close in an episode. They on some lesbian shit.
Also, I mean, one of the things I like about this show, again, because I've been reading a lot of the Daredevil comics, and I think previous iterations of Daredevil in live action try to make him more like Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Whereas I can
he's
understand
not.
on the Daredevil side, but Matt Murdock is a lot more charming, and there's a cockiness to him, right? He knows himself, even when he's meeting the
judge, the l'avion.
right? He's like, "Oh, I smelled that."
He had a slice of honey cake before work today.
What was that?
Like,
honey cake?
She said,
I'll make you
I'd
some
love to
cake."
see how those heightened senses come in handy.
I was like, "Dang!"
I was like,
oh.
It's
Matt-
spicy.
He pulled
Murdoch,
some of the
you
tricks with
dog.
Heather, He pulled some of the tricks with Heather, where it's just like, it comes with. He almost kind of. We talked about it last time. He's on a mission to let people know that blind people have superpowers. I think.
I
he's
know.
like,
I read that somewhere. Someone was like, "Yo,
But then they're
Matt
also
is
going to be
like,
disappointed when they
yo,
meet their
like,
regular
what's up?"
blind friends and they can't predict what they had for breakfast and shit.
Right?
Like, imagine that becomes their type. Like, oh, I want to date a blind man, and then they're going out and they're getting all close to them. What did I have for breakfast this morning? No,
How am I
honey.
supposed to know?
And dude is like, what? I don't fucking know. Garlic.
Honey cake. It's so crazy.
So bad.
But again, I think that's why she got so close to him. And on top of that, she was they were put together by a mutual friend, so half the work was done for him. In that aspect. But Raven, I want to ask you. I think out of everything we've spoken about, we haven't spoken about the most important factor that this episode unveiled to us. What if it was a scroll?
I'm just so happy we finally acknowledged it, because
Like, finally.
this whole time I've been like, scroll. Like, I've just been, every single Marvel release, I've been like, scroll, and it just hasn't been a scroll. And it's been driving me nuts, because I'm like, did we imagine the scrolls were revealed or not? Like, when in the timeline did it happen? Because we saw it, and then you just haven't
we
brought
know
it up
that
since.
thing.
And it was revealed to everyone, like it was
like a
knowledge.
big deal. And I'm like, why isn't there mass hysteria and paranoia? Like, I'm sorry, but the president becoming a Red Hulk shouldn't even be that shocking. You should be expecting everybody to turn into something these days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all got scrolls on the loose. Like, there was a scroll judge and She-Hulk. Come on. So I am happy. That's not just us, because, I feel like at home we're all wondering too, is that a scroll? I like that they shut it down immediately, but at least they're acknowledging that they exist in this show. There are scrolls.
Yes.
Yep.
Just this situation wasn't. Yeah.
Is it a scroll? Yeah. And then the only thing, just before we get off the episode, just because I'm thinking about it, that last scene with the whole Adam thing, one thing that I realized majorly throughout the entire episode is that Fisk's hands are completely healed. This whole episode, he don't got one bruise. Like in the whole scene with the kids singing, they show his hands first, and his hands are perfectly normal, right? How long has Adam been in that cage?
Yep. I mean, it's from when he first
Adam
came
been
back.
in that cage for a minute.
Last week's episode was probably a week, right?
At least
in terms of the Hector's case. So just one episode is at least a week.
Right. And there's been at least a week or two since then. I'm assuming because Heather and Daredevil are on terms of, she's staying the night whenever and is letting herself in.
And Fisk came back and went through a whole mayoral campaign and then won. So how long was that taken? Because again, Adam disappeared. Adam disappeared when he came back, not when he successfully won as mayor.
This is true. And we've had enough time, and skin doesn't heal overnight. This is weeks. He was beat up pretty bad. So I'm like, how Adam has been missing for a while.
I don't know what I was expecting. This is on me 100%. But I'm kind of low-key disappointed that Adam wasn't a person that I would recognize. For some reason, I
Adam's
just
just
thought
some bro.
just
He
some
was just
guy.
some bro.
I
Yeah.
thought I was gonna be like, oh, it's that guy. I don't know who I was
Yeah.
expecting to be that guy, and like who the
Bro,
fuck would it be?
It's his hands,
The only
bro.
thing I
She
appreciated
told
that
you.
they were kind of spot on in the character type that
Mhm.
Adam
Yeah.
would be. Like based on
Yep.
description and what we saw, I was like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Fucking hipster, like
Yeah.
Right, right.
Brooklyn artist,
It's given
structured,
yeah.
ponytail guy.
You were gone, Wilson. So I was lonely. I was lonely.
You knew you were gonna get that boy killed, Vanessa. You knew it.
You knew.
You knew it. And she's reveling in it. I think she loves that shit.
Right.
I think she
That's the thing.
knows. I'm telling you, I'm
like there
pretty
was no
sure she's at
fear.
that table with Fisk.
Whereas like she was happy to describe everything. She was happy.
Yes. And I think
Yeah.
she did so knowing this man is
Yeah.
currently torturing Adam.
Yeah.
She know that. The second she says she don't know where he is, you know where he is, Vanessa.
Again,
or at
she
bare minimum, you know
she
Fisk
looked
has
at Fisk. She
But
turns and looks
but
at
I
him.
feel like she thinks that he killed him.
She knows.
I think.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
she
I don't think
thinks
she's
that I'm pretty
torturing
sure
her.
she's evil queen pin, but I don't think she's sadistic like him. I think that's why she's like what
Yeah,
why is he locked in a cage?
Yeah.
Right,
Kill him
right.
or
Yeah,
She
she
probably
probably thinks
thinks
he's
like,
dead.
she
Like, what are
probably
you
sleeps
doing?
at night thinking, oh, he's dead and gone.
He's
Yeah, yeah.
dead. Like forget Adam.
I look back on the memory of us. and,
Yeah, not
oh, I
his
think of his
downstairs.
hands.
Because trust me.
His artistic hands.
Oh.
I used to make beautiful paintings out of my body. What?
Before we before we close out, I'll ask you both any moments that stood out to you that you liked that we haven't touched on.
I think just the fact that I wasn't aware that Heather and Daredevil have gotten as close. Like, him being like, I can't imagine. Now I can't imagine you not being here. I'm like, how many times you been there? I don't know. I guess this is a serious love interest thing you got going on. And she doesn't know about him as Daredevil, right?
No.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe the only other thing which we may have mentioned already is like I'm excited to see Angela, Hector's niece, as the next White Tiger eventually. And I wonder if we're gonna see her as White Tiger before the season ends.
One thing I'd like to see
Stay
more
tuned.
of. I spoke about this last week, and it's still an quote unquote issue for me. We're still early on in the season, so I am getting ahead of myself. But I still feel like this show is doing a slight disservice to some of the supporting characters. We're getting a lot of focus on Matt's story, a lot of focus on
literally.
Fisk's story. But there are other characters there that we don't really, like a lot of TV shows. What I like about
Like we're
TV,
not seeing Kirsten as much as we
right?
could.
Or we don't see
At all, not even as much.
what's it called?
Actually, yeah, she was in silhouette.
Right?
The
We don't see-
police guy.
we don't see Cherry
lady
at all. And so,
Oh yeah, where is Sherry?
but my point is even when we do see them, we don't know them. Like, what are they about? What is
we're not
Cherry
seeing them
about?
to progress their story. We're just
Right,
kind
exactly.
of
We've
like
seen
seeing the
Cherry more
next
than
thing.
Kristen.
We're seeing them like how they used to show up and burn notice. Like, all right, what's today's mission? And they do that 7 minutes on set.
Exactly. For me, the TV landscape allows us to have secondary or third storylines.
Yeah.
That are different storylines going on an investigation that somehow later on in the series will intersect back again. Right?
Yeah.
We don't go off to see, oh, what's Sherry up to right now? What's Kirsten up to right now? And so
True.
I think
in the original we did see what was going on with Foggy.
we understand
Karen.
Foggy, we understand Karen, so it makes the
Even
supporting
Punisher.
characters. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
true.
Andrew, you and I recently reviewed
It's a good one.
Your Friend in the Neighborhood Spider-Man. Fantastic show. Check that out. One of the
Just
strengths we
thinking
said
that-
about that was that the
Exactly.
supporting characters, we cared about the supporting characters.
Yep.
Outside of Peter, outside of the villain storyline, there were other characters in as well that had their own little storylines.
So,
That you're like, ooh, where's that going? What's that interesting? Whereas in terms of outside of Matt's storyline, I don't care what's happening to Kristen. I don't care what's happening to Cherry. Outside of those storylines. And
there isn't anything created for them to.
Yeah.
They're just kind of there waiting. Like
Yeah.
in old school.
They're NPCs.
Right,
Give
exactly.
names.
It's
They're
like
all
old
for
school
match
martial arts
relief.
movies. You'd watch old school martial arts movies, right? The person who's not fighting Jackie Chan is just standing, standing waiting.
Yes. Literally.
And so because we don't cut away to what these other people's lives are, it almost in a weird way makes the city feel smaller. It doesn't
Right, and
feel
also
as
as far as I'm
expensive.
concerned, Kirsten and Cherry never leave the office.
Exactly.
So
Like, why are
they're
they
just at the beck and call. Like
why
anytime
is she
it's like,
working with
yo,
Matt? Why did she
Yeah.
partner
Why
with
does
Matt?
she care?
But she's
Yeah.
also like really great at her job too.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
she's getting big cases. You know what I'm saying? She's obviously really good at what she
Yeah.
does.
She says she's dealing with the Madison case. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if
Right.
it's Madison with a Y, but not
The
what you
She-Hulk lady.
think.
She-Hulk lad. That'd be
Well,
funny.
it's a different thing. But yeah, I would like, even if characters are not there, I would like to know where they are. Like, what's Cherry doing? Where is he? You know, what is his life? Who does he live with? Is he married? Does he have kids? Does he, where does he live? Does he live in Washington Heights? Does he live in Brooklyn? We don't really get a sense of who they are outside of Matt's story. And again, it's still early. We're only episode 4. We could kind of go further. We could get a whole episode dedicated to their characters. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that, and I say this to say because from what we've seen, I am interested in those characters. I do want to see
Yeah.
more of them.
Surface level.
I think if I didn't care, it'd be worse. A lot worse.
Yeah, fair.
Facts.
Anything
Facts.
else to add?
I think that's everything except like we'll see what's gonna happen in Red Hook, in terms of because the families are still fighting. I
She was like,
still feel
someone
like
got
Iron
murdered like
Fist is
last
gonna
week.
pop up. I feel like Iron Fist gonna pop up somehow, and I hope not.
Oh
but-
gosh, no.
or the hand or
No.
something. And then yeah, I'm interested what this whole Greenpeace thing is actually about. That Fisk is trying to do the recycling program.
Oh.
Because we all know the truth. Like, I'm sorry, there's certain types of folk where, like, if
Well,
they
so
have an
yeah.
initiative going on, we have reasons to be worried. So we'll see what the downsides of that is. Imagine we see Spider-Man.
I thought
Because in
about that.
Spider-Man, you have to like save. There's like some Greenpeace in the game.
The problem with that is
It's Greenpeace. I forget.
it's real world issues. It's the fact that Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man.
Oh, so we won't see Spider-Man.
So it
Boo.
can happen. It's just that it can
But it
happen.
won't
It's
be
just that
Spider-Man. It'll probably
Sony.
be like a
Well, no,
side
because
character.
Sony would be like, "What do we get out of it?" And Marvel,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth giving you something for this.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Yeah,
things.
it's only
Like
a show, that's
it's
valid.
honestly not like
It's not worth it for us to give you
This
something.
is the worst because
Literally
the
not.
show. Yeah, because I've been playing Miles Morales, so it's tough because it just very much feels like the same city as Daredevil. You know
That's
what I'm
funny.
saying? So
I
it's
just
like,
bought that for my niece.
I keep expecting him to pop
It's-
up or just like swing in the background. Or,
It's
you
so funny
know.
you guys both mentioned that. I literally just downloaded it because it was free on PS Plus.
Miles Morales is
Wow,
fire. That's the only
look at
reason I
that.
got it and started playing it. It was free, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just play it.
Triple
And then I got
Miles.
addicted to it. I couldn't get as into the regular Spider-Man, but Miles Morales I was into immediately.
I mean, if you go back to the regular Spider, it makes sense. It'll
I
work
probably
better
love it
just
now.
because the storylines are so linked with each other,
Mm.
and especially going into Spider-Man 2. I haven't played that either. Going into all that kind of stuff, the way it kind of links into it, and then it's going to link it to the future Wolverine game, even which is coming soon.
Which I can't wait
Yes,
for.
they announced
It's
it 2
what a
years
time to be
ago.
alive.
Wolverine game. It's just yes.
It's actually happening
Hopefully,
now.
won't get cancelled like
I mean,
Wonder
we've seen
Woman.
footage.
I
It's
digress.
just, but yeah, I think I want to see more of New York City. I want to see, but though I do like the little clip things with BB, with that old man who's just like,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could be a vigilante.
I'd be a vigilante too.
And he was the same guy from last episode where he was just like, back in my day, I'd get my gun, I'd shoot anyone who messes
Right.
with me.
This guy just obviously believes in taking
back in
justice
my
into
day.
his own hands. It's just obviously his thing.
Right. I mean,
Right.
he's probably a man of the. His prime was in the 70s. That makes sense. That was when all vigilante justice action heroes were popular in American pop culture. I think that's it for this episode. Really enjoyed it. Really well done. Oh, I actually like the scene where at the end, Matt's just like, you know what, f- it. The devil's gonna come back out. Let me pick my masks. He has different masks.
Let me pick my
Probably doesn't know what colors
pick
they are.
my outfits.
He has different colors. He doesn't know which one. So hey.
He just has to feel them. This
Think
episode,
about that,
everybody's
he's
taking
like-
shots at his sight. Every single character took some type of shot at his sight. I'll be
And it-
seeing you around. Said Officer Powell.
Officer Powell.
See?
You can't see shit.
I'm sorry. If a blind man picked me up and slammed my head on the floor, I'm not
Oh my
giving him shit.
gosh.
Like, I'm coming after him secretly, but I'm not giving him shit in his face. Like,
Right,
I'm sorry.
especially now when you give it back, he's also pretty quick with his
Right.
insults.
Right.
Between him being quick with the actual physical ass whipping, he's also pretty quick with
That's like,
the insults.
you're
So
gonna
I
bring more
would
men,
say-
right? You're gonna bring more men, right?
Also, I find that people,
Man's getting cocky.
I feel like those type of people, they've dealt with so much shit their whole life. They be the toughest ones.
Mhm.
You can't make
Yeah.
jokes against people who are disabled or whatever. Beyond it being
Yeah.
rude and f***ed up, like those people are used to your insults, so they usually
Yeah.
have
But that's-
insults prepared for you too.
There's
But that's
something
why I
ready.
talked about That's what I talked about earlier, that I like how this Matt is portrayed. He's cocky, he's sure of himself, he's not just like brooding the whole time like Batman does.
Yeah.
Batman's always brooding. And even when Batman is
Mhm.
kind of being Bruce Wayne and cocky, you always feel that that's a show, because it is, right? He's
Mhm.
putting on a show. Whereas when Matt is flirting, all that stuff, that's him. That's not a show.
It's like
Matt is a
default. This is
flirt.
like default me. Like
Right.
my nice guy filter is not on.
Right.
This
He's
is
a
Right.
flirt. He's cocky. He's sure of himself.
He's a ladies' man.
He's a
Mhm.
ladies' man. But when he's talking to
Mhm.
Officer Powell, being all like cocky in his face, that's real Matt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He is that person.
He's like a tuned down Iron Man.
He's a
Yeah,
boxer.
exactly.
Like,
Like if
oh,
Iron Man was
yeah.
in law, that would be.
Actually,
Fair.
Andrew,
I see
great
that.
point. He is
That's a
like a
good one.
boxer, like Muhammad Ali, right?
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali had that cocky
Mm.
boxer
True.
nature to him. It
True.
is that kind of cocky boxer.
That's the thing about
like,
Matt. Just always remember he's a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
You know,
1-2 punch. She
and I-
knocking him out.
I like seeing him do his
you need
training,
faster
gets
hands,
the
officer.
billy clubs out, right? The best cure for a black eye. I love that
Fast
line.
hands. Woo.
It's
Best
just
I
cure.
think that's
yeah,
words to
it's
live by. I wish somebody gave me those bars growing up.
The best cure. I mean, it is the best
No.
cure for a black eye.
It is.
It is.
Fast hands. Shit, you wouldn't have got hit in the first place. Boom. Genius.
Being the wrong guy got you punched out.
Right.
Anyway,
Indeed.
on that note, we can talk about this forever. Anyway, what do you nerdies think of this episode? What do you think of the series so far? Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. You can also message us via email, thenerdybunchpod@gmail.com. Check out some of our other podcasts. Andrew and I about to do the season finale of Invincible, season 3 finale. Also the season finale of Severance, which airs tomorrow as we record this, so look out for that, and upcoming podcasts within the next few weeks and months. Thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
you.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch presentation of Something to Marvel About, where we spoke about Daredevil Born Again, episode 4. And as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.